Sir, thank you so much for joining us on Bloomberg. Obviously, it has been a very busy 2 days, and yesterday a celebration for Finland. Obviously, your neighbor, I presume you're happy about that move, but for your country, obviously, well, I'm not sure if bittersweet is the way to describe it, but obviously you wanted to join together, and now it's obvious that's not going to happen. How do you perceive it, and are you more upbeat now that your future is getting closer to NATO? Maybe slower, but getting closer.
Well, first I would like to underline that we are, of course, very happy for Finland, because we believe that it is a good thing for both Finland and for Sweden that they are joining NATO. Obviously, we would like to join together, but since that cannot be the case due to other reasons and other powers, that's not Sweden and Finland's and our governments, we are just arranging things as they come along. And now we are doing it the following way. We are, as you quite rightly said, we have high hopes for us becoming members in the period from now up to the summit in Vilnius in NATO.
And obviously yesterday both Finland and the NATO Secretary General said the Nordic security will not be complete until you're in, so they obviously want you in as soon as possible. But I wonder with countries like Turkey, I mean, let's be very frank, a lot of the issues are obviously stemming from that. Are you more optimistic based on the meetings that you've had here, the feedback perhaps that you've been able to exchange on a one-on-one basis, that you understand yourself maybe better now?
Well, all states that have taken the floor at the meetings here, all the NATO allied member states, have spoken in favor of NATO, of Sweden becoming a member in NATO as soon as possible. And that's very heartening, that's very strengthening for me as foreign minister and representative of the Swedish government to know that this is the case. However, of course, we also believe that we have committed ourselves to fulfilling the memorandum that was signed during the last NATO summit in Madrid. We have fulfilled all the obligations that we undertook, and now it is time for the Turkish parliament to start the ratification, which has also been said by a lot of allied member states during the meeting here in Brussels today.
So you feel like when it comes to Turkey, what you had to do or felt that you needed to do, you have done?
Yes, I mean, the memorandum has been very clear in the undertakings that Sweden and also Finland committed ourselves to do. We have done our part of the job. Now it is time for the Turkish parliament to start the ratification. Obviously, we understand that there is now an election process undergoing in Turkey, but from a practical point of view, everything is done. It is only one more thing that remains, and that is the piece of legislation on fight on terrorism that will enter into force on the 1st of June. This is the last building block, but after that there is no more deliverables, and it is time for Turkey to deliver its commitment.
And it's time for Turkey to deliver. I also wonder, when it comes to Hungary, there's some confusion there as to what is the issue now. Some suggesting that perhaps this is a cynical move by Hungary, that maybe they spotted an opportunity to get something that is unrelated to NATO, is entirely about European politics, and they're using Sweden, and I'm sorry to be so frank with this expression, but almost as a tool back and forth here. Is that what you feel, and what's your message to Hungary? Because the NATO Secretary General, again, was very clear. Sweden has to join as soon as possible.
Well, my message would be as crystal clear as was the Secretary General's, namely that the Hungarian Parliament should also ratify Sweden's application, because there are no outstanding issues. There are no special memorandums, as has been the case with Turkey, in relation to Hungary. So, frankly speaking, and very simply, to put it very simply, I don't understand the reason why there is no ratification forthcoming from Budapest at this moment. There should be.
And you're not alone. Many do not, and again, feel like this is a political move. Did you make that clear to your Hungarian counterpart? There is no substantial reason to do this.
Yes.
Did he understand it?
I don't know.
Do you hope he understood it?
Yes, I do.
Well, and obviously that is where your country is also hoping on a bigger scale. Let me just ask you as a final question, however. There has been a lot of debate, too, about China and potentially the role that it may play. Obviously, at this point, it's clear that Russia does not want to leave Ukraine, that they still want to fight, and the Ukrainians have made it clear they're not going to surrender to Russia in any way at this point. What about China? Some believe you have potential mediator. Another would suggest, or other voices, that this is being completely naive. This country is not interested in helping anyone except for itself.
Well, yes, there is a lot of uncertainties around the peace plan being brought forward by Beijing.
But is it a peace plan? Would you call it a peace plan? Some say it's not even a peace plan.
No, I'm using the expression used by Beijing, but again, this has been a common expression. I, for my part, believe that we should stand behind Ukraine and the plan being brought forward by President Zelensky, and I think that we should rely on the goodwill of Ukraine, because after all, Ukraine is one who has been offended. It is Russia's aggression against Ukraine that is on the table here, and we should face that down, and we should really be clear from both the NATO and also from the EU and from the entire global family that Russia's aggression against Ukraine goes against everything that the UN Charter stands for. It is an old-fashioned colonial imperial war directed against Ukraine, and this is something which all should stand up in favor of Ukraine against Russia.
And just very briefly, if I understand it correctly, what you say is that perhaps more attention should be paid to Zelensky's plan than any proposal from China. And I wonder, overall, when you put everything together, is that the reason why China has not called Ukraine? Because they're actually not really interested in brokering a deal here?
I think that one of the most interesting things coming out from the meeting here today in Brussels is the observation that many people have done, that at the same day that President Xi Jinping visited President Putin in Moscow, the Japanese Prime Minister visited President Zelensky in Kiev. That, I think, it goes without saying that this was a very, very strong message of how many of the countries of the Indo-Pacific feels about the aggression of Russia towards Ukraine and where they stand. And it is a good thing that we had this Indo-Pacific meeting, this Indo-Pacific session of the NATO summit here. Sweden is, as the EU presidency, going to host an Indo-Pacific ministerial meeting together with EU foreign ministers on the 13th of May in Stockholm. And we look forward to have the same kind of invigorating debates and discussions as we have had today here in Brussels.